Yeah, I used to work at a gym, and it was a holistic gym. It was like a breathwork and meditation gym, and also a strength training gym. And they had an ice bath out the back. So we used to yeah, I used to start teaching at 5 a.m. The 5 a.m. class was the first class, and I would only teach on Wednesdays because Wednesdays would be the breathwork and meditation day. And so every Wednesday we would get there, and 5 a.m. I'd go and teach the breathwork and meditation class, and we'd just do some connection exercises and some talking. Um, and then at the end of the class, we would have an ice bath. So yeah, by like, quarter to six, the people were jumping in the ice bath, and every Wednesday. And it was a great way to start the day. Like I used to do it as well every now and then. I'd hop in there with them. But yeah, it definitely gets you going, definitely energizes you. Um, the reason why we did the ice bath at the end, and sometimes you'll hear people talking about this, is you do the breath work first and you do the meditation first. And I think the idea is that you are becoming present. You're learning how to like be calm, and then once you're nice and calm, it makes it a bit easier to get into the ice bath, because what happens when you do get in the ice bath is your whole body goes into shock. Especially if the one that we had was 3 degrees, but generally they're anywhere between like 1 2 degrees to like 8 degrees. They're quite cold. The one that we had was 3 degrees, and so as soon as you get into water that's that cold, your body has a physical response, and you go into this kind of like shock state, and you just gasp for air, and then your whole body, it starts to get contracted and go into this kind of like freeze state. All of the blood from your limbs goes into your heart and into your chest and your core, because your body actually thinks that it's going to die. So, because it's such cold water, right? So your body goes into a protective mechanism, and all of the blood rushes to the heart and to the center, so that keeps you safe, essentially. So it is totally safe to be in there. But what you want to do is regulate your breathing and become calm. So when you do that, you're more able to just be present and be calm in there. Otherwise, what can happen in the ice bath, and this is what happens when people don't stay in there for long enough, or when they feel like they need to get out after 30 seconds. It's like they jump in for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, and they get out. The reason is because they can't get themselves out of that freeze response. So they get in there, and they have that initial shock of getting into the ice bath, and then their body basically freaks out and starts reacting, and they can't calm themselves down, and they need to go, I need to get out. And like they can't get out of their mind, they can't get out of their body, and so they have to get out. So I've seen that happen before as well. Like, lots of people um will jump into the ice bath for like 10, 20, 30 seconds, and then they're like, nah, get me out of here. So that's why the breath work and meditation was good at the start, because when you do meditation and breath work, you get connected to your body, yeah, and your body can start to relax. And when you're in this nice relaxed state, it's much easier to maintain a sense of calm, not just in your mind, but in your body as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about the ice bath, right? But yeah, they're really, really cool, and something that you could definitely give a go. It's a bit of a challenge, right? It's a mindset thing, right? Because like your body's just going to cop to the cold, right? And it's going to be cold. There's no way of getting around that. But it's just a mindset of, if you can overcome your body, if you can overcome yourself, if you can, from a mindset perspective, make yourself stay in that uncomfortable situation, even though it hurts and it's cold and all of your little fingers and toes feel like they're going to fall off. And so it's, if you can just overcome the pain, then I think that's one of the main things that people get out of the ice baths, right? And then afterwards, you feel like on a massive high, because your whole body's tingling, and it's just crazy. But yeah, we're not here to talk about ice baths today. We're here to talk about meditation. And so I'm going to run through a bit of a meditation class. We're going to start off with some beginner concepts that'll help you with your meditation practice. And then we'll go into some different techniques that I've learned over the years to help with meditation. And then we're going to go into a little bit of a more expanded view on how meditation actually changes your energy, and changes your vibration, and how you can actually change your cellular structure through meditation. And so this is not something that I'm just talking about with on a whim. I recently shared in my coaching community with the Conscious Creators a video from a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. And this Dr. Joe guy, he's done a lot of scientific research on how meditation changes the body, and how when you're in deep meditation, it can have an effect on your biology. When you change your emotional state, or even just your physiological state through meditation, it starts to restructure the cells in your body. So if you just think about, for example, if you are in a really heightened, anxious, or frustrated or angry state, how that feels in your body, it feels quite tense, and it feels quite like hard and very forceful. Sometimes if it's anxious, it can feel very scary, very contracted, very small, right? So it's essentially you're under stress when you're in those states. Your body is experiencing stress, the stress of anxiety, the stress of anger, and it's actually firing different chemicals in the body, cortisol, adrenaline, those kinds of things. So the whole body is reacting to your thoughts and your emotions, and so your state of being is changed hormonally and physiologically because of your emotional state. And so you just need to have experienced anxiety to know that that happens, right? You've felt it if you've experienced that, or anger or anything like that. You know what it feels like to get into those states. It feels very like, ooh, right? And so if you've done some meditation, and if you haven't, we'll do some today. But if you have, and you've done 10 minutes, 20 minutes of meditation, and you've been able to calm down your body, calm down your mind, come into a more peaceful state, come into a more open state, then you'll know that that feels very different, right? When you're in that state, the stress levels are coming down, the adrenaline levels are coming down, and your serotonin and your dopamine levels are coming up. So these are your happy chemicals, right? So you're literally shifting from this anxious, angry, stressed, um, you know, hyper adrenaline state into a more happy, calm, peaceful, open state. And so it's having a chemical effect on your body, and that chemical effect on your body, it also changes the cellular structure of your body and your biology. So it literally, your energy, your emotion literally changes the structure of your body. And so people have had incredible healing from things like meditation. If you watch Dr. Joe on YouTube or anything like that, or you go to one of his events, he does these group meditations, and they do group healings where everyone will come together and meditate together, and they will send intention or energy or focus or awareness towards one person. They'll be like in a circle or something like that. There'll be a person in the middle. Everyone's sending their energy into this person, and they have incredible, like, miraculous healings. And there's proof of it. There's testimonies, there's studies. There's a video where the scientist is talking about how they have actually meditated and changed the cellular structure in a petri dish and removed cancer from a petri dish just through meditation. So there's a lot of crazy stories, and I won't get too much into that now, but I just wanted to give you a bit of context in what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start off with the basic stuff, and then we're going to move towards that more advanced stuff at the end. So a few basic things with meditation, right? Questions that I get asked a lot. Like, do I need to sit up or lie down when I'm meditating? I always encourage you to sit up when you're meditating, to be upright, because when you're upright, you're in a more active state, right? Whereas when you lie down, people often lie down for meditation, or they lie down for breath work. There's always stories about falling asleep, right? If you lie down, you doze off, you get tired, you fall asleep. You're not really focused. You kind of lose your concentration and you doze off a little bit. And that's because when you're lying down, your body's actually releasing the sleep chemical. Because think about it, however old you are, every single day for your whole life, you have lay down just before you went to sleep. So your body is literally programmed to fall asleep when you lie down. And now people have sleep issues and all this kind of stuff. And sometimes going to sleep isn't that easy. But just from a very foundational perspective, when you lie down, your body starts to prepare for sleep because you've done it for X amount of years, X amount of days. You've done it your whole life. So I always encourage people to sit up when they're doing meditation. If you're doing breath work, which is a little bit different, sometimes it's okay to lie down because sometimes you can be doing deep breathing exercises and stuff like that. And sometimes there's a risk of like falling over if you get too lightheaded. So with breath work, you can lie down. If you're doing longer breath work practices or very active breath work practices. But with meditation, I always encourage people just to sit up because when you're sitting up, you're more active, right? So that's one thing. People always ask for like, how long do I need to meditate for? Anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes is great. If you can get 5 minutes in as a starter, awesome. If you can then work your way up to 10 minutes, great. 15 minutes, great. 20 minutes, awesome, right? That's kind of like for beginners, right? If you want to, I've done longer meditations, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, when I've gone to retreats and stuff like that. I do the longer meditations, but on a day-to-day basis, like 20 minutes is sufficient. So there's that. Another question people often have with meditation is like around location. Where do I need to go to meditate? Like, I don't have a quiet place. This is a very common objection people have to meditation. It's like, I don't have a quiet place to meditate. So, or like, my roommates are always around, or yeah, there was someone, there was builders across the road, so I couldn't meditate. That's that's not the way I want you to look at it. you it's not Meditation's not about like you need a calm place, you need like a quiet room, you need to light some candles, and have like a little zen space, right? It's not about having a peaceful external environment. It's about creating a peaceful internal environment. And so you need to train yourself to be able to do that. So for example, with my daughter, she's, one, uh, over the last year, sometimes I would just meditate on the couch and she'll just be like crawling on me and I'll just be seated in meditation. And obviously that's not ideal, but I know that it's not about having an idea, life's never going to be perfect, right? Situations are never going to be perfect. So in meditation, it's more about you finding your center and finding your present awareness and being able to be calm and at peace with whatever's happening around you. So when I first started meditating, I would go to the beach a lot. And it would be quite hard for me because I would be aware of people walking past me or birds, and I would always be conscious of, is someone going to come like to touch me, or is a bird going to come and get me? Or sometimes I would sit up near the bushes and I would be like, oh, I hope no snake gets me. And my thoughts were just going about all these things that could affect my meditation. But over time, I learned that it's essentially like I learned to trust that it would be okay. I could just sit there and it would be fine. People aren't going to attack me, or birds aren't going to swoop me, or snakes aren't going to bite me, right? These are the kinds of thoughts that you might have if you're meditating outside, or if you're inside, maybe someone's making a smoothie in the kitchen, or your daughter's crawling all over you, or whatever. It's about control, because what will happen when all that stuff starts happening is your mind starts going and it starts going, oh, I can't do it because they're doing this, or I can't do this because they're doing this, or I can't do this because Coco's crawling over me, right? But that's not the point. It's meditation is a practice that takes you from the external world into the internal world. So you're bringing your awareness away from the external world and you're bringing it into the internal world. And that's the main practice, right? And that's why it's so helpful for things like frustration, anxiety, anger, all these difficult emotions, stress, because with those emotions, they're always outwardly focused. You're always worrying about something in the external world. You're always afraid of something happening in the future, or you're always worried about what happened in the past, or your focus is always external when you're stressed, when you're anxious, when you're angry. Oh, I can't believe they did that to me, right? It's always external. And so that's pretty normal, right? That's a human thing. That's what we do. We're in the world, we're living, and we're experiencing all these things, and we think it's all in the world. So for the most part, we spend all of our time like externally focused. So a practice like meditation is a training ground for you to bring your awareness internal, which helps you to balance yourself, right? Because if you're always focused on the external, you're not going to be balanced internally. When you start to bring your awareness inside, that's when you can find your inner balance, your inner peace, your inner calm. So that's a huge lesson. And that's one of the reasons why meditation is so powerful, because it trains you to take your awareness from the outside to the inside. Because the inside is where you actually live. Like you have to live with yourself for your whole life. Now, people will change in the external. People will come, people will go. Even our kids will grow up. Our parents will grow up and pass away. Like, we'll get new friends, we'll get new jobs. We'll get new houses, we get new cars. Like everything in the external world's going to change. So why do you focus on the external so much? What never changes throughout your whole life is the fact that you have to be with yourself. Like you've got yourself for the whole life, right? That's for sure. So why are we always focusing on the external, not on the internal? If you want inner peace, if you want self-confidence, there's these qualities that people want, happiness, all these kinds of things that people want to have. They don't come from anything outside. Like they literally don't. They only come from inside, inner peace, self-confidence. You have to learn how to be with yourself. And that's what meditation does. It allows you to come internal and to stay with yourself. So it's that the way I see it is literally like a training ground, or it's like a discipline or a devotion or a commitment, or a space where you can connect with yourself. That's how I see meditation. I don't see it as a woo-woo thing. I don't see it as anything that's too crazy. I think about it is like just sit still and just do nothing and just get to know yourself. Like become familiar. Meditation actually, there's a definition of meditation, which I'm not sure if it's the actual like dictionary definition, but it says to become familiar with. So to meditate on something is to become familiar with something. So if you're just sitting down doing nothing, meditating, you're actually becoming familiar with yourself. Becoming familiar with yourself. You're bringing the awareness internal. You're becoming familiar with yourself. So a couple of little techniques that I use in meditation, or that I have used over the last 14 years of my own meditation practice, for actually like the process of meditation and what to do in the meditation. Once you've brought yourself to sit down, and once you've brought your awareness from the outside into the inside, what are you going to do for the next 15 minutes or 20 minutes, right? So these are 4 techniques that I've always just come back to over and over and over again. And the first one is just simply breathing. And I honestly believe just this one, if you get deeply connected with just your breath, it's like you develop an intimate connection with your own breath. And what I mean by that is it feels like intimate. It feels like very loving and very like connected. If you can get to that level, it's not about having a million different techniques and, oh my God, this one's so powerful and that one's so powerful, or like do this visualization, or do this third eye meditation, or open your heart chakra meditation, right? You can do all that stuff. It's fine. But if you just were to connect with your breath at a very deep level and understand, like I honestly believe a lot of the secrets of the universe are found in just one breath, the inhale and the exhale. It seems so simple, but it is just profound. Inhale, you've got a certain kind of energy coming in. You've got this yang energy, you've got this masculine, you could call it positive, in. right? Breathe in and feel that energy that comes in with the breath in, and breathe out. Breathing out, letting go. It's the yin energy, it's the feminine energy going out, right? So in life, you've always got polarity. We live in this world of positive and negative, good and bad, like, masculine, feminine, yin and yang. There's always the balance of the opposites, right? And you find that totally and completely just with one breath. Inhale, exhale. So what I mean by this is, like, you don't need to go and expand out into all these different techniques and all this kind of stuff. If you just get connected to your breath will give you the secrets of the universe. Just the breath, right? In, out, in, out. Be very, very present with the inhale. Feel what it feels like, and then be very, very present with the exhale. Feel what that feels like going out as well. That one thing is just enough. Like, you can just do that for your meditation practice forever and you'd be all right. But another one is listening. So breathing is the first pillar that I've always come back to. The second one is listening, because what also happens when you listen, you can listen when you're listening. People will often think that it's just, okay, I'm listening to what's happening. I'm listening to Josh's voice. I'm listening to the birds. I'm listening to the waves at the beach. I'm listening to the cars that go past. Those are all things that you'll hear. I'm listening to the plane over my head. I'm listening to my wife grind some coffee beans downstairs. You listen to all of these things, all of these noises, and initially you'll be listening to all of the external noises. But once you get good at listening, you can start to listen to your internal noise as well. You start to listen to your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own feelings. You start to listen to yourself. So it's the same as what I was saying before. You've got the external and you've got the internal. You've got the external noise and you've got the internal noise. And when you really listen, those two things start to become one. I'm listening externally. Oh, yeah, all the noise external. And then, oh, internal. Okay, I hear all this noise internally. And when you really start to understand all of that is happening, all of it is actually happening internally. Like when you've got your eyes closed and you can hear a sound over there, you're actually hearing it here. So it's not really an external thing, it's an internal thing. And that's quite a profound understanding as well. It's quite a profound insight to realize that the outside world and the inside world aren't really that separate. So that's also quite a profound insight to understand. Listening is super important. In the same way that the inhale and the exhale aren't really separate, right? You need both of them. You can't just have one without the other. So you kind of start with this like dualistic understanding of the world of, like, there's this and then there's that. There's the inhale, there's the exhale, there's listening outside and there's listening inside. But once you get deeper and deeper into it, all of it starts to just merge into one. And this is when you start to get a sense of oneness or wholeness, which is a very beautiful thing to experience. And the third thing, which I'll go into today, is just feeling. So feeling, once you get into your meditation, you're going to start to feel, right? So sometimes you'll be feeling the sun on your skin. Like I used to meditate at the beach and feel the heat, feel the sun, sometimes feel the cold, feel the rain, sometimes feel little ants crawling on my leg, right? And you feel all those things. And also you can start to feel your emotions coming up with that, right? Maybe you start to feel a bit discomfort, a bit of discomfort, right? Or a bit of yeah, bit of anxiousness, like, are these ants going to crawl up into my pants? Or, if the wind's there, you might feel a little bit of like, oh, I wish it wasn't windy, right? So it's like that desire, or almost that like craving for things to be differently. And you just start to get, when you start to connect with your feeling body as well, the sense of feeling, you start to get more in touch with your emotions. Now, all of these three things, your breath, your listening, and your feeling, they all allow you to connect with the present moment. So these are the sensory access points: breathing, listening, feeling. Breathing, you can connect with the present moment through your breath. Listening, you can connect with the present moment through your listening, and feeling, you can connect with the present moment through your feeling. So there's three senses. These are just your physical senses, right? They're like doorways to presence. So if you have anxiety, or if you have anxiety attacks, right? Sometimes these can feel like they're mental things. But if you've ever done like work with a psychologist or a therapist or a doctor or anything like that, they might tell you to one of the techniques is like to just become aware of your surroundings, right? Like if you're in a panic attack, like to become aware of your surroundings, and maybe some people even tell you like touch yourself, like touch your body, touch your arms, like ground yourself into touch a table or just touch something that's near you. It's because when you do that, you're using the sense of touch, right? To ground yourself, to become present. So essentially you're using it's a sense of feeling. And you start to feel, okay, here I am, right? Because when you're in anxiety, you get stuck in here and things start to go really, really fast. And then it's like you almost dissociate from the physical world. So when you do something like you touch or you feel or you breathe, deep breathes, it grounds you back into the present moment. And that's how you can get out of the anxiety. So, yeah, those are a few like sensory techniques that you can use. If you're in a meditation, if you're wanting to develop a meditation practice, you want to develop like a daily practice of 20 minutes, and you go, hey, cool, I'm going to sit up, I'm going to do it, even if there's not like a super peaceful Zen place for me to do it. And then as I'm doing it, I'm going to focus on one, just breathing in and out, two, listening, just observing your thoughts and observing sounds. And when you are doing that, observe without judgment, and observe without attachment, and observe without expectation. So it's just a pure awareness, a pure observation. Try not to get caught up in the story too much. And if you do get caught up in the story too much, then just take a deep breath. Come back to the breath. Inhale, you come back, exhale, let go of the story, let go of the thought, let go of the judgment, whatever it is. And then once you get deeper and deeper, you start to feel your body, right? You start to feel the changes in your body. So this is where we lead into changing your state, changing your energy, changing your vibration. That comes through feeling. So you can use it literally like this: you breathing to kind of get you started, listening to kind of, once you get a little bit deeper, once you've breathed for like 5 minutes or so and you start to really drop into the meditation, then you start listening and you allow the listening to kind of connect you more deeply. And then maybe after, 7, 8, 10 minutes, you start to feel differently. When you start to feel differently, that's when your energetic state will shift. That's when your emotional state shifts. That's when your body actually, so when you're in like an incoherent state, which is essentially like anxiety or anger or frustration or stress or whatever it is, this is like an incoherent state. And incoherence means that it's like it's vibrating, but it's not in harmony. It's not a beautiful, clear vibration. It's like a staticky vibration. It's like if you've got the radio on a channel, but it's not coming through properly, and it's like it's all staticky. When you're in anxiety or stress or anger or frustration, that's what your body, that is what the vibrations in your body look like. Staticky and incoherent. Right? And so what kind of effect do you think that's going to have on your body? It's throwing it out of balance. It's not a clean channel. It's not a clean energetic channel. It's incoherent and it's all kind of jumbled up. And so this is why people get like stress is a massive issue for sickness. People who are overly stressed get sick. Their immune system's not working properly, right? And this causes a lot of issues with health. Stress is massive for your health, right? If you're overly stressed, you're going to have health issues. It's a given. It's because your body is incoherent. It's not functioning properly. Your immune system's not functioning properly. Your body's not functioning properly. It's too clogged up. and it's just not having a natural flow. It's too tense, it's too contracted, right? It's like you're being squeezed. That's what it's like when you're incoherent, which is these kind of, you know, negative emotional states. After a meditation, right? Once you get 10 minutes in and you start to feel differently, what's happening is your body is starting to become coherent. Your body and your mind are becoming coherent. So they're finding harmony. When you're in this calm, peaceful, open state, you can feel it. Your body starts to come into this balance, this beautiful, open, clear balance. It's coherent. It's in a state where recovery and rest can happen. And when your body starts to recover and rest, it starts to regenerate. The cells in your body will start to regenerate. Everything will start to heal itself. Simply because you've come out of this incoherent state into a coherent state. You've overcome your mind. You've gotten out of your mind. You've gotten into your body, and you've learned how to take control of your state of feeling, how you feel. You've moved from this incoherent and staticky state of feeling to this clean, crisp, pure state of calm coherence. And when you're in this state, healing happens. And it's not some woo-woo healing. It's just in the same way as, like, if there was a tornado that would fuck up plants, right? Like if there was a tornado that ripped through a forest, like a really just crazy tornado that was ripping through a forest, that forest would get damaged. And then if there's no tornado and there's just peaceful and calm and sunshine, maybe a little bit of light rain, that forest is going to have a chance to regenerate. That's just a natural process. So it's the same thing when you have a tornado of emotions in your body, of anxiety and stress and anger and all this kind of stuff, your body has no chance to heal. When you have this beautiful, clean, like calm, open state in your body, it's like an environmental thing. Like this, your body is actually an ecosystem. You're an organic being, right? You're an organism. And so the same rules of nature apply to you. If things are crazy, then it's going to be harder to grow and to heal. If things are calm and relaxed, it's going to be much easier for something to grow and heal. You need a healthy environment. And so you need to understand that we are ecosystems, we are organisms, we are nature. We're not separate to nature. And so same rules apply for us. When you allow yourself this calm space, your body can heal, literally. And so that allows you the space to grow. And that allows you the space to change, right? If you've had this personal reality and you've been stuck in this negative vibration for your whole life, or 20 years, 10 years, however many years, that's your personal reality. Your body is used to that, and so it keeps playing that same cycle. Now, if you start doing daily meditation and you shift your state every day, shift your energetic state, shift your vibrational state towards this calm, open, clear, coherent state. And if you do that every day consistently, if you're disciplined with it, if you're committed to becoming a new version of yourself, that's what you will move towards that version of yourself. You will change your energy, you will change your vibration, and you will become a new version of yourself. If you keep on doing what you've always done over here in the craziness, you're always going to get what you've always got. Nothing will change. You can't change something unless you actually change something, right? Things don't just change by themselves, right? It just doesn't, they just don't, right? If you want to do something different, if you want to experience a different life, you need to do something different. You need to be intentional. You need to show up. You need to practice. You need to use your meditation. You need to be consistent with it. You need to have the intention to open yourself up to become a more coherent and clear version of yourself. And that might mean if you've never been consistent, if you've always been inconsistent, it's time to be consistent, right? If you've always been stressed, it's time to train yourself to be calm, right? If you've always been anxious, It's time to find peace. And so you have to overcome your mind to do that. And this is what you can do when you're in meditation, right? And it takes practice. And so I think I've given you some things that you can work with today. I know we went a little bit over time, but those are, I try to keep it pretty simple without going too far off the deep end. But just to summarize, right? Seated meditation, anywhere between 5 to 20 minutes a day, focusing on breathing, listening, and feeling. And over time, if you do that, you will shift your feeling state, which is your feeling state is your energetic state, it's your emotional state, and that's your vibration. If you do that for long enough, you will shift your vibration into a new vibration. You will shift from an incoherent vibration into a coherent vibration, and you will become more calm, more peaceful. You'll find more self-confidence, more happiness. You'll allow space for healing in your body. And so the thing that ties all of this together is consistency. Like it's a discipline, but I don't see discipline. People have this negative connotation to the word discipline as if it means that you've been punished or something like that. I don't see discipline like that at all. I see discipline as something that like if I'm a disciple to meditation, I'm a follower of meditation. I'm a student of meditation. So for me, when I'm being disciplined with my meditation practice, it means I'm being a student of meditation. It doesn't mean that I'm in trouble, like someone's forcing me to do it. If I'm disciplined, it means I'm a student, I'm a disciple, I'm a follower of, and not of any specific person, but of this practice of connecting with myself. Like I'm a student of that. And that's what it means to me to be disciplined, to be a student of. So that's my, I guess that's my kind of, you know, ending and my final invitation for you guys here today is to become a student of meditation. Because when you do, your whole life will change. You'll be able to shift your energetic state. You'll be able to change your life. And, you know, I've worked with hundreds of people in my coaching business. And the one thing that sets people apart from having great success with the coaching is the meditation, right? Like how well someone can bring themselves to become a student of meditation, because that's when you connect with yourself deeply. And that's when you start to really create transformation. There's other things that you can do around that. Like, you know, Rach, you would know, you're here, you got the journaling, there's different other practices and processes and techniques. But one of the most fundamental things is just meditation. And that's why I wanted to do this free meditation class today, because I think that that single practice alone has the power to change your life dramatically if you are consistent and disciplined with it over time. So that's it. I know we've gone like way over time already, but there's a couple of you here, so I will just open up for questions, seeing as we've already gone over time. And I said that I would. Are there any questions or anything like that? If there's not, that's fine, but I just thought I would ask.
I was gonna ask about like supplements or anything that if you've found anything to assist with practicing meditation and mastering the mind. Like,
Good,
yes,
good
yeah,
question. And it's a great question because I know you've got ADHD. So one of my friends, I haven't done this, but I have a friend who has ADHD, and he actually uses coffee. Um, I would never recommend that, to be honest. However, um, he says it helps him focus. He says,
yeah,
and he has ADHD, so and he's on medication and stuff like that for the ADHD. And I don't know. I've talked to different people with ADHD. Some people say it's like some people need certain things, some people don't need other things. I'm not 100% sure, but he takes the dexamphetamines, I think it is, and he says that when he takes that, he becomes super clear and super focused and super concentrated. And so he takes the medication, and he also he has coffee and then will meditate. I personally have never been a fan of like having coffee before meditation, purely because coffee is a stimulant and it will actually increase your stress and increase your adrenaline. Um, in most people. Like, I don't know, I actually don't know if there's a scientific difference between people with ADHD or not. I'm just going off a suggestion of what a friend said has worked for him. So he used coffee and also he was on medication. But other than that, no supplements. And in fact, what I think is better is actually having an empty stomach and just water beforehand. Like no, like try and actually like less is more when it comes to meditation. You want to be this clear vessel, right? So like try not to eat before you meditate. Try to meditate in the morning, before you've eaten anything, and only after just having some water. Like with meditation, that's the way I see it. It's actually about less. You want less in the system, right? Because the less you have in the system, if you eat stuff, for example, then your digestive system is working. If you take supplements, maybe they have to be like, um, yeah, worked through the system somehow, right?
Taking
And
the
so,
fluid.
yeah, that actually, from an energetic perspective, it makes your body work more, right? Because maybe your digestive system's got to do something, and the digestive system is quite takes a lot of energy. So it takes your energy away, or it uses extra energy. When instead with meditation, if you're really pure, you want nothing in the system, right? So I went over to India when I was a bit younger to do like a meditation retreat, and yeah, we wouldn't eat in the morning until like, and we would do like yoga, meditation, and like fasting in the morning. And then even when we did eat, the food we didn't have a lot of food, and it was all like dals and some fruits and stuff like that. Like it was vegetarian, not a lot of eating. And that was fine for us. We actually ate more because we were on retreat than the teacher that we had. He didn't eat, and he basically ate nothing. He was crazy. Like he didn't really need to eat. Um, and he did eat, but not much. And he also didn't sleep much. Like he didn't really sleep, but he didn't need to sleep. So that was pretty crazy to see that experience. I think he slept for like 2 hours a day, but like he didn't
Wow.
really eat much food. But he was like hardcore Indian dude who was like, really deep in the yoga and the meditation. And he would go swimming in the River Ganga. We were talking about ice baths at the start of this. It's actually the River Ganges, right? That's how all the Westerners know it. The River Ganges is this like holy river through India. But in India, they actually call it the River Ganga, the Ganga, not Ganges. And he used to go swimming in that every morning, and that was cold, as like really cold as well. But yeah, the idea is like actually less is more, less supplements. But if you've got something like ADHD, you could experiment, like my friend did. Um, you know, if you're really pure and traditional, less is more. No
Yeah.
supplements, no food, no nothing.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. Your body must use a lot of energy to process food. And
Yeah.
I do find if I haven't eaten close to bedtime, I
Hmm.
can sometimes struggle to fall asleep. Like last night, just yeah, having a healthier diet. Yeah, I found it more challenging to fall asleep, and I kind of feel my stomach, and I'm like, oh, I feel like if I had something more in my stomach, I might be able to ease into sleeping a little bit better.
Yeah,
But I do
yeah.
find, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, the energy that it requires, and I've had a client speak to me before about when you're processing emotions, if you've had a lot going on and you have emotions to process, fasting can assist. It can allow the body more space for processing emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're speaking specifically about meditation here with the eating and stuff like that. And I don't know from a physical standpoint, with like going to sleep and stuff, because I know that's the thing. People need to like, oftentimes people need to feel like they can't have a full stomach to go to sleep. So I don't know how the meditation correlates with the physical health as much for a beginner, let's say. But yeah, it's this is why I think you need to be disciplined with it, because over time your body and your internal systems will start to get more familiar with a slightly different way of doing things. So you might not need as
Yeah.
much food, or you might not need as much, sleep, or it's a process, right? But yeah, I think fasting can be great. Like I've done a lot of fasting myself, 3, 4 day fasts. Um, and it's definitely
Wow.
a good way to clear out the system for sure. But at the same time, it generally does bring up different emotional states as well. So it's a whole thing to work through your internal processes when you're fasting. Like, you get anger, you get hungry, you get a bit like down or a bit slow. Um,
Yeah.
but it is a good way to clear out the system by fasting for sure.
I've actually found celery juice to be helpful for cognitive functioning lately.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, celery juice because it's naturally hydrating. I think,
Mm.
when your body's well hydrated. And I've found it helpful. Celery juice and ginger, apple
Yep.
cider vinegar.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of those things are great. 100%. And it's like clear, you know what I mean? It's pretty pure.
Yeah,
It's
clean.
not heavy on the digestive system or anything like that. Awesome. Cool. No, great question. Yeah, like personally, I've never used any supplements for meditation. However, I do know, yeah, there's these kind of things that we've just talked about now are options. But yeah, my main philosophy with that is just less is more. But I'm not perfect. Like I drink coffee and stuff like that. So
So do I.
I'm not a purist, right? Like if you're really pure, if I was really pure, I wouldn't be drinking as much coffee as I do. But each to their own. Mm. Cool.
Coffee is enjoyable.
Yeah, I love it. Like, and
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. I've done a lot of meditation over the years, so I can connect to that place quite easily.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I don't mind having a coffee here and there now.
yeah.
It's funny because what do they say? When it comes to enlightenment, we can kind of finish up on this. When it comes to this topic of enlightenment, um, there's this funny quote by Lao Tzu, which is like a Eastern philosopher. They said chop wood or carry water, get enlightened. Oh no, what did they say? It's like it's something about like, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So that's the quote, right? Before enlightenment, you chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. So the saying is essentially like once you get people think that this enlightened state is like it's like something that you attain and then it's like whoa, like you know but everyone can just once you get enlightened, or once you have it's not that you get enlightened, it's more that you have an enlightened experience. um it's like it's like before that you drink coffee and work, and then have an enlightened experience, and then after you drink coffee and go to work, like it's like you don't.
Consistency.
Yeah, yeah. And there are people like, Jesus and the Buddha and these avatars who are like operating at this like super high frequency. And that's why they're so powerful. And that's why there's stories about them that have just lasted for centuries. The only reason why I can think that that would have been the case is just because they are like they're living in the enlightened state. And that's a very, very high vibrational state. And if they're like living like that and then they're these like prophets, or they're like avatars, or they're leaders, or whatever they are, they're they were doing such powerful work that the stories have just resonated through time and space. And so that's like living in a peak enlightened state, and also probably even beyond the idea of enlightenment, right? Because there are actually other levels higher than enlightenment, which are closer to this God, or a even greater awareness, which is even past enlightenment. So enlightenment, I believe, is an experience that everyone has, because you have it when I believe you have it when you're a kid. I believe when you're a baby or when you're very young, you're in an enlightened state. You only need to see a baby to know that. In the baby's world, it's just pure bliss and awareness and just like taking it all in, right? And the funny thing about babies is that they don't need to do anything. People just come to babies, like they're magnetized towards babies to take care of the babies, right? That's what happens with enlightened people as well. People just get magnetized towards them, right? So there's people like Jesus had his followers, Buddha had his followers, like and babies, like they have their parents and their caretakers, right? So I believe that babies, we all start actually with this experience of enlightenment, and then we forget, and then for the rest of our life, or for some people, they want to go and find that again. The funny thing is, once you have those experiences, those enlightened experiences, then there's always a choice. Like I remember earlier, I had this choice of like, do I want to like go hardcore and like become a, like, you know, go and like live in the mountains and go to India and just like be like that, or like, you know, really go like deep into the spiritual path. And I was like, or you kind of, do I want to come back and I want to start a family and I want to run a business and I want to do these more worldly things, you know what I mean? So I remember I made that choice, but I want to have a family. I want to be a business owner. I don't want to go off into the spiritual never land, right? But when you go through a spiritual journey, you have that choice of how do you want to live your life. And when you have this enlightened experience, then you have a choice. Okay, well, what do you want to do afterwards, right? So it's like before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. You're always going to have this. Once you get to these more expansive states, it's like it's same thing as inhale, exhale, right? Inhale, whoa, big enlightened state, and then exhale, let it go, back to normal life. So yeah, that's a bit more of like a bit of an out there conversation to have. And it's only my personal understanding. Like I'm not actually claiming to be like some kind of enlightened person, because I you know, drink coffee and I'm like just to have a family and very worldly and, you know, that kind of stuff. But I do feel like I've experienced that in certain parts of my life, right? Like coming out of meditation retreat, or, you know, working with plant medicines and stuff like that, like and just over time, like I've done a lot of meditation, so you start to just get at least a look at it, right? You can start to see it, you can start to sense it, you start to feel it. It's all a feeling thing, right? It's not an intellectual thing that you say, oh, I know what it is, because anyone who says that is not telling the truth, because you can never actually know what it is. It's actually beyond knowing. It's the unknown, and it's even beyond that as well. So it's not ever something that you can think, or that you can, it's not even really a feeling. It's more of like a psychic kind of sense that you kind of have a sense for. And the way that you get connected to that is through a lot of like going inwards, because it's available within you. And this is what, you know, all the teachers have said, and like Jesus has said, and everyone said, the kingdom of heaven is within you, right? This enlightened state is within you. So this is why we go away from the external world and into the internal world. Because that's the doorway to finding these different states. It's all internal. Anyway, we've gone way over time today. Thank you guys for being here. I'm not going to rant anymore, because I could actually just talk about this thing for ages, and I do love talking about it. Rach, we're going to dive a bit deeper into this in the coaching program next week on Tuesday night. So yeah, thank you guys for being here with me today. I hope you got a lot out of that. Go and practice meditation and let it change your life. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good day.
Thanks, Josh.
Bye.